My name is Walt Taggart, and I'd like to be your state representative in District 162. The only issue is you're going to have to write me in. By now, you should have seen the signs around and probably got the flyers on who's running in the Democratic and Republican Party. But we have one that wants to run on his leadership ability. We have another one who wants to take a little bit of Delco to Harrisburg. What that all means, I'm not really quite sure. I don't think there's any substance in any of it. I'm trying to figure out, what do you want to bring to Harrisburg? Do you want to complain? Do you have any solutions? And anytime you complain and you don't have a solution, well, you're just whining. At least you should have a complaint. Tell them what the story is, tell them what's going on, and have some kind of solution and talk. Right now, I don't know if that's happening. What do I want to talk about? Several things. We have a lot of landlord-tenant issues. We'll go over that in a different video. What do I want to bring to Harrisburg? Well, first off, I'd like to help clean up Delaware County. 2 years ago, the big emphasis on cleaning out the courts. How'd that happen? Or how'd it work out? You've heard nothing. In 2 years, you've heard absolutely nothing. Well, I'm going to give you an example here. I'll give you a couple other videos to think it over. I'll give you a couple other videos. Figure out if it's worthwhile to talk about. As a small business owner, the courts are a big problem. Let me explain. A few years back, we had the real estate bust. Everything was coming down. Banks were lying. Attorneys were stealing. Everybody was just grabbing whatever they could and run with it. And of course, nobody went to jail. Nobody did anything. Police weren't doing anything. FBI wasn't doing anything. State police wasn't doing anything. So everybody could get away with everything. Example. You've heard about the laws being changed to protect the consumers. Well, they're all disappearing now. We had a case where we had a building that went up for foreclosure. Unfortunately, we didn't know about it, but the lender that we had sold our mortgage to another company. That lender, the new lender, was from Texas. They sent us notification to a fictitious address. The address never existed. We never got the paperwork on it. By the time we got it, we had the foreclosure notice and the property was being posted. Okay, so we try and figure out what's going on. We try and negotiate. We try and figure out what's going on. Just pay it was 2 months. 2 months we owed them. Said, okay, we'll write you out a check. Well, lenders being lenders, as soon as they get a property, a new property, they bought it, they got the note at a discount. So with that discount, now they have a chance to own the property at a discount. So why would they want to negotiate? So they didn't, or at least we didn't think they did. We told them, okay, we needed a couple of months. We're going to sell a property, and pay off the note. We did that. The bank gave us a payoff statement. We paid it off. We met what they were looking for. I paid it off. I sold another property at a $25,000 discount just so we could do it and be done with it. So we thought. Months after we paid it off, my attorney reached out to me and said, hey, did you pay the mortgage off? I said, yes, we paid it off. How much did you pay it off? It seems that there's another payoff notice. My attorney sent me back the payoff notice, the new one or the revised one. Lo and behold, I looked at it. Anybody that was in business for quite a while knew about it. It was a scam. It wasn't a scam from the bank, it was a scam from the attorney, is what we think. Well, what I think. Well, I know it, but I can't know it because I'm not an investigator. So I did what anybody else would do, and I called up the FBI. Well, you can't just call up the FBI. You have to be, I don't know, worthy of the FBI. So we had to email them. We emailed them all the players, what was going on. Sent it in. After we sent it in, swear to God, 25 minutes later, I had a phone call from the FBI. That really surprised me. I mean, after all, you write a letter into the FBI, you sent it in. What I did was I went to the local bar, had a beer, because I was like nervous as hell. I'm halfway through my beer, the phone rings, and it is the FBI. The FBI says, well, we got your notification. We got it. It looks good. It's a wonderful case. Except we're way too busy. We can't help you right now. We're out looking for terrorists. You're kidding me. No. Unfortunately, no. We are out now. We're spending our resources looking for terrorists. But what we can suggest is you contact the state police. I said, well, wait a minute. Let's step back. There are thousands and thousands of foreclosures happening right now. You have these attorneys and banks ripping off people, stealing money from them. And here's a prime example that you can do something about it. Well, no, we're still too busy. We're looking for terrorists. Needless to say, I was pissed. So I sent a letter in, or same deal. I sent all the information. The same information I sent to the FBI, I sent to the state police, Pennsylvania State Police. 3 days later, I get a phone call. We'd like to help you out, but we're out looking for terrorists. That really pissed me off. Here I am, a Pennsylvania citizen. I got a guy robbing me. And we got nothing. We're too busy. We're looking for terrorists. Like, Pennsylvania's the mecca of terrorism. I don't know. I don't remember hearing too much about it, but I'm guessing we did. Where we are. Needless to say, 18 months later, the bank is still foreclosing on me. All because of this attorney wanted to steal $800 from me. And when you have a small business and you have an attorney that puts you under foreclosure for 18 additional months after you pay off the mortgage, your own attorney doesn't believe you because, hey, ethically, we're all good, we're all saints. Oh, no, you're not. But that's beside the point. Let me show you the paperwork. Once I get back, I'll pull out the papers and I'll show it to you. You can figure it out. This paperwork can be found in the Delaware County Courthouse. If you'd like to look it up yourself, just go online, go to the courthouse, and you can follow it through. Just put in the number of the case, and it'll take you right to these documents. But basically, as we said before, we had no idea that the loan was sold to another lender. The lender used a different address. Actually, the address never even... Actually, the address was a non-existing address. So they should have been notified of that and tried to reach out for us, but Unfortunately, they didn't. And this was done, the lender's attorney was David B. Smith. And we found out about this in February. So right from February on, we tried to just pay up what was current, because we didn't even know. It turned out we were 2 months behind, and we didn't even know about it. And we were told that the lender doesn't want to, or didn't want to proceed with us paying it back. They wanted to just foreclose. And why they do that is basically because they make a lot more money that way. And as you can see in the timeline, we just kept on going. But during that time, we received a payoff notice, because we told them, okay, well, if you're not going to do that, allow us some time to sell a property. So they sent us a payoff statement. Here it is. And now I'll break it down for you. It's basically, as of March 3rd, this is going to be the current, well, that was the date that these numbers were effective, with a sale date. Then we received a payoff statement. We knew that they weren't going to settle for us, so we decided to just pay the property off. And as I told you before, we took a very big hit on trying to sell a property right away so we can pay it off. This is the payoff, with the payoff date to be July 1st, with all the fees, and the payoff amount was $86,593.18. And that's what we strive for. Over here, you can see in the court documents, we're going to follow it through, and then from cross that last part out. And here we're going back to the court documents. So the last entry in 2008 was on March 25th, where we replied to the defendant's new matters. Now, afterwards, after we paid off the loan on July 1st for the amount that they were looking for, my attorney told me that there was an additional letter that was sent out, an additional payoff letter that was sent out. And I never received it, and sadly, my attorney never received it. So that was sent out on May 28th. And this was sent out, I believe, because we were trying to push it up the settlement date for the house that we were selling, and we could pay this off in June instead of July. But look at this part over here. Look at the legal fees. The problem that we had was the lender's attorney contacted my attorney and said, no, these were the correct figures that you had to pay. The other figures weren't valid. Now, I've been in the real estate business since 1976, and whenever you see anything like this on any kind of documentation, you know it's either a scam. Well, it's just a scam, that's all it is. Because lenders don't do that. Lenders have people to type out letters, send them out, and without any handwriting or crossing. And even if they did, there's not a valid initials. Someone has to put their initials on any real estate documents that they cross out and put a figure in. So without that initials, that voids it. Unfortunately, my attorney wanted me to pay the difference to the attorney. And that wasn't going to happen. So let's go back over here to the documents. As you can see, nothing happened. The next, the court came in and said, hey, what's going on here? But look at this number right here. August 23rd, 2008. Now that's important because that's when I contacted the FBI. I knew that letter was a scam. I knew the attorney or someone else was trying to make a couple extra dollars. Now I figured it wasn't the bank because I paid them, but I didn't have the satisfaction piece. And I didn't figure it was my attorney because I was told to write a check right out to the attorney or send it in to my attorneys. They put it in their escrow account and they write a check right out to them. So I contacted the FBI on August 23rd, 2008. Now the interesting thing was, I never realized it, but when you have to contact the FBI, you have to kind of be worthy of it. What I mean is, you had to write down all the documentation, send it in to them, along with a letter of like what is going on. And they review it, and they get back to you to see if it's worthy. Well, if you figure, I don't know, $800 is worthy, figure if someone's doing this to me, they've done it before. And at that time, there was a high number of foreclosures taking place. So I would think that there would be a high number of this going on. I was really surprised. I did everything online, contacted the FBI. I was real nervous about it. So when I filled everything out online and sent it into the FBI, I was really kind of nervous about it. And I decided, I was done for the day, working for the day. It was a Saturday. And went over to the local bar and had a beer. Midway through my first beer, I got a phone call from the FBI, which really kind of surprised me. I mean, it was just shocking. I must have been on the phone with them for about 10 minutes, and they told me something that I never thought I'd hear. But they said they'd like to help us out. It's a good case, but they can't. We're too busy right now, and all our resources are going towards terrorism. And I'm kind of putting in my argument, thinking, well, if that isn't terroristic to thousands of people that are losing homes, then I'm not really quite sure, how many terrorist people you have in Delaware County, but, you really may want to look into this. And they were pretty adamant about it and said no, but what you can do is contact your state police. So actually I was kind of pissed. That's a valid thing for them to look into, and they could have looked at it, and it would probably taken somebody about, 4 hours to narrow it down and check it out and, do the right thing. But no. So I went to the state police website and did the same thing. Now, it took the state police a couple days to get back to me. But what really pissed me off was the state police told me that we'd like to look into it, but we can't. We're spending our resources now on terrorism. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. And so they told me to contact the local police. Well, unfortunately, when you show the local police something like this, I mean, it is a white-collar crime. There is no doubt about it. They look at it and say, well, I'll tell you what they said. They said a bank can charge whatever they want to charge. And that's not true. Well, they have to have a reason for charging it, and they have to bill it out the proper way. So let's follow the timeline here. Another year goes by, nothing happens. Then my attorney gets pissed at me because I'm not paying this guy another $800. And then I get the word, we'll just pay him $500 and that'll be good. He'll accept that. And I'm thinking, screw him, I've already paid him what they wanted. So that's when my attorney decided, well, I've had enough with you. And he took off and actually took the other $1,500 in retaining fees along with him. On the 18th of October, I received a phone call from the court. And it was the secretary for the judge. And she had asked me if I was going to come in the next day to the judge's chambers to talk about this case. And I said, sure, I'd love to go in. She had mentioned something that she would talk to the other attorney because the other attorney was saying this is such a small amount that they may skip it. It's too expensive to fight. So I said, okay, well, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Half hour later, I received another phone call, and the secretary for the judge said the attorney decided that it wasn't worth the fight, so they were just going to drop it. And that's what they did. They dropped the case almost 2 years after they started the case. That shouldn't have even been started. So along the way, I decided to send an email to the bank, to the lender, and find out really what happened. So I told the lender that I was going through an audit, and I needed to know when the loan was paid, when they received it, and I wanted both copies of the payoff statements. So she sent me back, or the person at the lender's office sent me back 2 emails. She sent me back the one that was done in April, which is this one. And here are the payoff figures. And she sent me back the one that was in May. And here are the payoff figures. But the one I received for the May payoff letter is different. And to top things off, Mr. Taggart, the funds to pay off the above loan were received on July 1st, 2008 in the amount of $86,593.18, which reflects this payoff statement. The original one that we got, the one that I paid off or used the payoff figures for. The loan was paid off based on the payoff statement dated April 29, 2008, with calculations as of July 1st, 2008. I'm attaching the payoff statement which shows the funds were applied. That's a problem. But what the bigger problem is that no one listened. Again, I'm Walt Taggart, and I'd like to be your state representative in District 162. The issue with this case was that the FBI could have saved hundreds of people if they looked into this situation. The state police, which I have no idea why they never looked into it. I mean, that's terrorist, whatever reason. They should have at least sent somebody there. The other lawyers I talked to wouldn't go up against other lawyers. I even went back to the courts, and they said, well, you got a problem. Here's a form, fill it out, and send it in. Oh, by the way, you're on your own because we're not going to help you out. That's crazy. But that's the court system in Pennsylvania, and that's what you're dealing with now. As a state representative, as your state representative, if you ever run into a problem like this or any other problem dealing with the courts, my door will always be open. You can always come in. We'll go to the state police. You will get an answer. I can promise you that. We'll go to the banking commission. We'll deal with that too. We'll also go to the bar association. We'll do a lot more than slapping some attorney on the wrist. Again, I'm Walt Taggart. Write me in. Walt Taggart, State Representative, District 162.